welcome along to our first session here on Full-Time. Big kia ora going out to all our listeners out there. Great to have you join us this morning. Right, first of all, we've got on the line, missing out from, a little bit missing from last weekend, but joining us once again this weekend, we have with us Ra Walker. Morning, bro.
Yeah, good morning, boys. And of course, obviously, you know what my PTV is going to be, my Put the Boot-In's going to be. It's going to be to technology. When it don't work, it don't work.
Yes, indeed.
But also, look, I'll tell you, it's a cooler day here in G-Town. A bit of rain.
It is. It is. Also joining us from up there in Paeroa, we have with us our man Reno Wilkinson. Morning, bro.
Yeah, morena boys, and always good to be back with you guys on a Saturday morning. Exactly the same as Ra, similar weather down there, but overcast, bit of moisture. I didn't know what the hell that was, haven't seen it for a while, but it's around and it's back.
And in a nice sunny area, we must have our man JT, Jason Tawhawhirangi. Morena, bro.
Nah, boys, in terms of the weather, I've got the trifecta. It's going to rain overnight, but, you know, it's in the air. We can smell it. We can almost touch it. NRL is just around the corner. But more importantly than that, tonight is the annual State of the Union match between the New South Wales, what do they call themselves, and Queensland Reds in the Super Sweepy Rugby. Bring it on.
Indeed. Now, before we get into a bit of sport in our session now, yesterday was the last day that our man, the Wiz, Walter Walsh, he's had to give up the breakfast show, but he'll be taking on the night train from Monday, 6 o'clock till midnight, bringing in Monday. For I know for Wiz that when it came to the end of his show, he felt very emotional, and you could kind of like feel it because he's been on that shift for well over
100 years,
20 years, I'd say. Yeah, he has. And so obviously it's certainly a bit of a change for him. What do you reckon, bro?
Oh, yeah, it is the end of an era of sorts, but the beginning of new things, and of course he's not going away forever. He's going to be back. No. He's going to be the night owl or the night host in the evening. So that there should be a really, really good, interesting show. But it's just a time factor of getting used to, because when I used to, even most of us, when we started on the breakfast show, just filling in for like a few days, I mean, your body clock takes a bit of a kick in terms of adjustment. So just getting used to, to doing it at night. But no doubt he'll adapt, and then the show will probably be another success for the man. And it's a good change, maybe.
Yes, it could be a good change indeed. Well, it's a change nonetheless. And of course, you yourself, Reno, you're pretty used to getting up nice and early in the morning. So I guess you would understand how Wiz must have felt on his last breakfast show, eh?
Yeah, totally, mate. I was watching that live stream, and to see some of the stuff coming there and people talking to him via ringing in on the studio memories. I saw the emotions of Walter, towards the end of the show. And deserved to be emotionally because that's a long time, bro. 2+ decades, 20-odd years, waking up in the morning, entertaining the whānau who tune in every weekday morning. Okay, I know I've heard stories about the show doesn't change much, but it is an effort. And I take my hat off to someone like Walter, getting up in the mornings and doing what he does. And to hear him, I think he's going to be on the night train he mentioned, starting this coming Monday, 6 till midnight, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just one of those things, the end of an era. I think I saw written on one of his Facebook statuses, and I'm in the same boat, mate. I've been doing the U radio, and officially as of today, 30 years is now FM.
Wow.
So, I've been there 30 years. That's today, 9th of May, was the first day I broadcasted at 5 a.m. in the morning. So to think 3 decades ago, mate, I've been doing breakfast for like 26, 7 years now. So I know what he's going through.
Yeah.
And I'm often contemplating, mate, an end of an era as well. And sometimes you get to that, and sometimes you enjoy radio for what it's given to you, and sometimes these changes within the network, bring on some of these harsh decisions you're going to make in your career, and Yeah, we'll see what happens, mate. It's just one of those things, but I just want to wish Walter all the best for the night show, mate.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, your mate Wiz, he obviously will be going through a few changes there, AJT. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a big thing, mate. But one thing in life is certainty is that change is inevitable. So for whatever reasons, people decided up the food chain to move them to the side and reinvent and reinvigorate the show. I remember way back when we first started in the radio industry, Ra, you might remember this, might have been Russell or Bruce or someone along those lines said to us, radio can be like making sausages where you're just churning out the same stuff day after day after day, and it can get a bit bland, a bit boring to use probably a harsher word. So maybe that's the decision that was reached. Time to move along. No one's, in NRL terms, no one's bigger than the game. So, yeah, no, fair effort to get up that early in the morning for 20 odd years. No, I couldn't do it, but then again, I'm used to working 12-hour shifts, not 4 hours, and then going home. Come on, boys.
Well, it's interesting. That sounds like something that Bruce Byrne would say there, eh, Ra? What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, old Bruiser. Brewski was a man with a plethora of anecdotes and worldly radio experience. So he was definitely the man, Bruce. But look, I'll tell you, I could be wrong in putting it out there, but I think Reen is probably now the longest serving Bricky announcer in EV radio. Probably.
I agree. Completely
agree. Radio, I don't know. I mean, they're long. There'd be long sort of times in one show, so something I could probably never do. So I take my hat off to the boys. I mean, it's that routine they go through, and I think after maybe 10 years, it starts to kick it and become sort of, like natural. You just know what to do.
Yeah, of course, Reno will be there for another 30 years, eh, Reen?
Yeah, well, that's up in the air, mate. So I'll leave it at that point. But hey, anytime you get up in the morning, mate, if you get my drift, that's a good morning.
True indeed. Now, before we get on to a bit more sport, I just, because this is a particular issue that has kind of arisen and arisen quite, I don't know, I suppose suddenly or quite quickly. And I know that, you guys are very opinionated, pretty much like myself, I dare say. And this issue has come on about throughout the radio industry, in particular around New Zealand, Australia, and also in Canada. Now, the documentary Leaving Neverland, I haven't seen it yet, probably won't, to be quite honest, but I haven't seen it yet. But apparently there's been a number of things that have come about. In particular, the banning of Michael Jackson on radio stations' playlists. First of all, what are your thoughts there, Reno?
Yeah, it was a shock, mate, to hear that through the week. Look, the guy's been passed for many years. A lot of us grew up listening to Michael Jackson, the Jacksons, everything like that. You have a bit of a dance and you could sing along with most of his songs. For this to come through and Leaving Netherland, obviously we get to see that on TV1 tomorrow. They're going to air it. But for those who are fortunate enough, you can watch it online. It's available and you can make your own opinion. I was disappointed to read midweek that New Zealand radio stations, mainstream more so, have pulled Michael Jackson from the airways. For me personally, I don't think mainstream radio plays Michael Jackson a lot
probably,
to justify their comment. If I flip that around to EV radio, mate, that's a different kettle of fish. We play a lot of Michael Jackson. It's what we grew up with. It's what our listenership throughout the motu like to listen to as well, because we connect to Michael Jackson in that way through his music and his dance and his entertainment. He's resurrected so many young R&B singers' careers. They emulate him in so many ways. But hey, I can't be critical because I haven't seen the documentary, and I don't know how you can prove someone that's guilty. Because he's been through it all before over his career. FBI have been through the whole debacle. This is just another one in it. And as I've always said, we went through the R. Kelly thing talking about him. EV Radio supported through the whakaruruho to pull down R. Kelly music. I understand that. I see R. Kelly being emotional in his 2 interviews. To me, this is my personal opinion. I think he's guilty. But for Michael Jackson, it's a sad time because great musician, king of pop. What more can you say about him? But I suppose, nothing's really proved guilty at this stage. So, I was disappointed to hear the music being pulled. I can tell you now that now EFM here in Hauraki, we're still playing Michael Jackson.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it at that.
As are we here at Tūrangi FM. What do you reckon about this whole debacle there, JT?
Yeah, well, I think he's found innocent by a jury of his peers. The FBI and various other agencies couldn't find any dirt on him, and all these people that are coming out, in my opinion, are made a gold diggers. They're looking for money.
Yeah.
So they're trampling on the spirit of a dead man, the memories of a dead man. He's been gone for nearly 10 years now. So I think it's an absolute circus, mate, and a joke and a disgrace. And anyone that doesn't want to play his music probably didn't like him in the first place. Like Reno touched on, those mainstream stations have now put a kibosh on his stuff, and let's face it, mate, a lot of those mainstream stuff, their music playlists are a bit pale, and what I mean by that is they're a bit a bit fair, a bit white. They don't play they might play the odd token Bob Marley song once every week, that sort of thing. So they can stuff off as far as I'm concerned. Luckily there's lots of the iwi radio stations that do have a more balanced playlist and stuff like that. Over here in Australia, it's the same. Although one thing about the Aussies I'll give them credit for is that they promote a lot of road music, so they have their quota.
Yeah.
So but mate, I just think it's a joke, and anyone coming out now is after some money, and move along next.
Now, I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with it, Ra, but you must have an opinion about radio stations in New Zealand in particular dropping music by Michael Jackson from their playlists?
Well, it's hard not to keep up with, Keithy. I mean, it's all over the news now. I'm flicking between Sky and updates on what's happening. I was watching a couple of those girls that were sort of in the R. Kelly case. They came out in defence of R. Kelly,
right?
Saying he didn't. So, it's that fine line between you really, really don't know what the heck's going on. And in terms of MJ, wasn't he acquitted? But I sort of tend to agree with Jace. There's a lot of gold diggers out there. The man can't represent himself now. He's gone.
Yeah.
My favourite MJ song, which I suppose you should ask boys what their favourite one is Girlfriend. I love the bass line in there. He's still got some good music, but yeah, it's going to be a watch this space. I mean, I'm sort of on the fence at the moment, but you get the two camps, those that have accused R. Kelly and also MJ, and those that sort of in their defence, I suppose. But in terms of playing it on radio, I'm glad we're still playing it. Don't take it out on the music, maybe. Music's still good to listen to.
Absolutely.
So that's my sort of stance on it, Keithy.
My opinion is that, to be quite honest, I've got no problem at all with radio stations, any radio station not playing Michael Jackson, especially the mainstream ones. I've got no problem at all with them dropping Michael Jackson from their playlist, because, quite frankly, I still won't listen to your radio station. So, that's kind of my opinion. But it seems to me that it's kind of just an overreaction from that. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet and may never watch that documentary. But it seems to me that it's a bit of an overreaction. What do you reckon, Reno?
Yeah, I suppose it's hard on the answer, Keithy, whether it is or not. Once this movie got released, and the boys are right, it is gold digging. And, this young man that's come out and spoken about it, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But like Ra said, watch this space. JT's right, it's all about the gold diggers. I don't really give a stuff about mainstream radio because they don't play a lot of brown music as it is.
Yeah.
Predominantly programmed in the white media world. And that's where I get real hoha, the differences between iwi radio to mainstream. When it gets to New Zealand Music Awards, who gets all the credit? Mainstream radio.
Yes.
Who plays most Kiwi music right across the whole genre of Kiwi music? Iwi radio.
Of course.
Mate, that really brushes me off. So it's no, and you're right, mainstream, I don't really look into it. Look, they don't play Michael Jackson much. The biggest hit they would have played would have been most really Black and White when it was huge back in the day. They played bugger all Michael Jackson, so that's no surprise. You're not missing out on much on mainstream radio because Michael Jackson's not a big loss to them. Because they hardly played him.
Exactly. Wouldn't it be great, though?
For EV radio, if we did an EV radio, bro, well, then it'd be a shock.
No.
Can you imagine EV radio would drop Bob Marley or something like that?
Never. Never.
No, we won't.
No.
Never.